Hello, everybody. We're here with another fantastic episode of the Apex Coalition show for y'all. Unfortunately, I do want to get this taken care of off the bat. Unfortunately, Jack has been a bit of an accident. He was having a vasectomy done in a mobile truck lab, and they went over a pothole, and he's going to need some more extensive surgery. So we will hopefully be joined by him later.
You hate to see it.
You do, Kern, and I am lucky enough to not be here alone. We've got a fantastically packed show today. We've got Kern and Lippy returning. Our first ever appearance of Hunter is being followed up by another appearance, and we welcome Teemo to the show. Kern, let me ask you this. What did you think of last week's show, Kern? What did you think of our breakdown of your squad?
I thought it was a fair and just assessment. I was honestly expecting a little more criticism on the front end from all of y'all. But one quick, brief defense. I don't know if you have my team pulled up, but just looking at it on my screen.
I'll pull up your
team. The only thing I'll say is, listen, I'm not one to toot my own horn often, but I'm a tooter right now.
Yeah.
ANF,
you never
I remember...
That. You never do.
I remember 3-4 years ago, there was a, big movement started by me where I spearheaded running backs heavy. And people did it as well, but I think I fully think that I cornerstoned that. And I got tons of hate for it. And I remember weekly matches were like, oh my God.
For that? Who hated
Everyone hated on me. Oh, Kern, you got Corey Davis as your wide receiver 3.
Yeah, that's
bad.
My
God, Kern.
That was bad.
Hold on. All the hate relentlessly about
no one was hating on your running backs. They were hating on your shitty receivers.
I know, that's the point. But what happened was, ANF, is that I feel like I started a massive trend. And if you looked at what I did today, when I broke down what a snake draft would look like of the actual auction, the premiums on running backs were insane. And during the draft, the reason you don't see, the reason I'm bringing this up is because there was a big talking point on why I don't have 3 startable running backs is because I saw it and I immediately switched my strategy and I got, I think, ridiculous value on wide receivers, quarterback. I like Kyle Pitts. I think he's awesome. I got depth. And I still have 2 cornerstone running backs. So I think I did a fantastic job. I'm extremely flexible this year. I have 160 fab now. Which means I get probably first pick of the litter to any injuries. I feel pretty good about my squad. I think it's not a typical Kern squad, but I think all things considered, based on the trend, when all of y'all zig, I'm gonna zag, and I think I zagged pretty well through I had. So that's my defense.
All right. All right.
Am I wrong,
Karen? I feel like you might zig when everyone else zags. I feel like you live an upside-down world, so that might be easier for you to do. Anywho, Teemo, I don't know if you caught our show last week, but everyone kind of came to a consensus that you had a great squad as like a litmus test of what a good team could be. So if anyone's team seems worse than yours, it probably doesn't have a chance in playoffs. And if anyone's team seems better than yours, it's probably a contender. What are your thoughts after some of these trades, and what do you think your chances are going into this year?
Yeah, so I actually drove down from Nashville, did a little camping over the weekend. So I did get to listen to the podcast, and I was kind of like in shock of that because I agreed with a lot of the points about the RB depth. Like I have 0 RB depth at the moment, and I've been trying to work on that.
Yeah.
But nothing's kind of helped out so far. As far as the trades are concerned, Lippy knows kind of how I felt about the trade because there was like a trade with him and T-West where I felt like I was getting the short end of the stick, so I kind of passed on it, and Neil took up that shit stick. Yeah. So other than that, I'd love to see some trades coming around, like especially at the beginning of the year, whenever we don't really know who's going to do what too early or too often. But I think all of us do our research, and we always make some pretty good picks, except outside of Neil, who
okay.
Didn't really do a good job on that trade. But,
we'll get to the trade here in just a second. And I mean, Lippy, this will be predominantly just a Lippy segment with all of the trades that have happened because I think still as of now they all involved you.
Beautiful.
Hunter, let me ask you this, and I know we got your input last week, and there hasn't been a lot of movement or traction since then. But are you still liking your chances to win your division, sir?
Well, for those of you that don't know, there's some news out of the Chargers. Austin Eckler is dealing with another hamstring.
All right. And
Now,
do you think it makes your team better or worse if he doesn't?
It definitely hurt seeing $70 get burned to a pile of shit. But before we won.
Do you think it makes your team better or worse?
Well, I mean, that's going to be interesting to see it play out, Hunter, because most people think that when you lose someone that important to your team, it might bode negatively for your squad. But what do they know? We'll get more info on that. And hey, there's the chance he plays, and this is just smoke. So
yeah, I mean, he could have just sprained his dick.
Yeah.
Had bitches that are probably like.
Yeah, could have spent a night at Kern's mom's house and just need some time off. So, let's go ahead.
Wagoon, I lost CMC last year for the whole year, and I still finished top 5 in scoring. Missed in the playoffs tragically, but it can be done.
Kern, you basically finished last year.
You just admitted you failed.
Yeah,
I did fail. CMC failed. He got hurt.
Hunter, I'm looking at the squad right now, and honestly, if Eckler doesn't play, you could do worse than James White. I mean, you definitely don't want to be trotting Mark Ingram out there yet.
Yeah. Let's I don't know. We'll get to Hunter's team in just a second because we're gonna look at the matchups here, and we've got probably that's now a much more interesting matchup between Hunter and Jack. But we'll get to that in a second. Lippy, let's start with you. You have the first trade of the post-draft timeline is a trade you did with Jonah. And my God, it is a mishmash of a trade. So talk us through this, Lippy. You basically are trading away McCaffrey and some other assets worth noting for a whole bunch of...
I mean, you can't really say Boyd and who is Fant. I mean, I guess Fant, but Fant just makes you feel icky. Yeah. Not really worth noting, sir.
The only asset is McCaffrey in that, really.
Yeah, I agree with that exactly, Hunter.
I think Tyler Boyd and Fant are wonderful fluff pieces that make people look at for a second and say, "Oh, that's kind of nice." But I mean, yeah, basically when you boil it down, it's CMC in his handcuff for DK, Montgomery, Josh Allen, and Mark Andrews. So I mean, it's a heavy price tag.
A lot of value.
That's what it costs.
No.
It was strictly a value game at the end of the day. I mean, was the day after the draft, 2 days after the draft, and Jonah paid me $100 of draft bucks for $73 worth of draft bucks, $74 worth of draft bucks. Made like $20. And it was great value, and it kind of bleed into the next trade, like Timo said. I talked to T-Les, and I really wanted Kamara. T-Les didn't want the people I was giving up. T-Les wanted to end up with 2 running backs, so he went and tried to get Zeke from Timo. Timo didn't like it. And, I mean, I don't blame him for not liking to have Gaskin. So then he went actually to you, Alexander, and to Neil. And it ended up being Neil giving up Najee to get the Gaskin and DK combo.
Yeah.
If I could just add something real quick, just to clarify, the issue I had with the trade was not the fact that I was going to get Myles Gaskins. The issue I had was that I was going to get Mark Andrews, and I would also keep Robert Tonyan. Like, I just didn't understand the value of having.
Yeah. No, Timo, I was involved in this. Yeah, I was involved in this trade as well as a possible suitor, and it looked differently on my end. I mean, obviously, because all of the teams are different, so the makeup's going to be different. But
right,
I think for Neil, more than you or I, this trade made more sense. Now, I mean, this is going to really Monstar, if you're listening, you're my opponent this week, and I wish you the best of luck. But I really hate this trade for Monstar. I think Lippy made out well, and I like Neil in this trade. But I'm sad that Kamara potentially left the division and ended up right back on Lippy's team in the division. This is just a 3-person trade of our division, other than me. But I was so happy. Oh, great, CMC's gone. Oh shit, Kamara's back in the division. But Hunter, what are your initial thoughts about this trade between Lippy, Neil, and Monster? Because I think this one is a lot more to think about. You know, it's a 3-person trade, so almost necessarily so.
You know, first thing that jumps out at me, I think that Neil won this trade. You know, a lot of people say whoever gets the best player typically is the one that wins the trade, which obviously would be Lippy in this situation. But I really like the trade from Neil's perspective alone. I mean, he's given up Najee Harris, who, you know, as good as he was in college, it's an unknown what he's going to do in the pros. You know, we saw what Gaskin can do. He was fine last year. He was great. DK Metcalf, absolute stud. Hardman, I mean, that's just a garbage piece. Doesn't mean anything. But I'd rather have DK and Gaskin than Najee at this point in the season. And you know, he's the only one that I think it's really clear that you know, Trade made his team better for sure. I think Lippy gave up a lot for Kamara here.
It's weird.
I mean,
Go ahead, Kurt.
Not to hate on Lippy. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so what pretty much what I think Kern was going to say, it looks like Lippy really just traded out CMC for Kamara at the end of the day.
Plus Josh Allen, and I got rid of Fant for Logan Thomas. So I ended up with Josh. Yeah, I traded CMC for Kamara and Josh Allen, and in my opinion, it's a slight upgrade with Logan Thomas versus Fant, because Fant gives me an icky feeling inside, and I kind of like what Logan Thomas and the vibes he's got going on right now.
See, with Logan Thomas and Fant, though, I think that's kind of a wash, really.
I prefer Thomas.
I would say Logan Thomas. Even. Just solely off the fact that now that Curtis Samuel's hurt, they're going to have a number 3 back, and or number 3 option. I know Antonio Gibson's going to be in the mix, but when you look at what Denver's doing with Sutton, Judy, and then either Melvin Gordon or Javonte Williams, like Fant's just kind of the odd man out. Plus, he's a little injury prone at times, so I know that's not really a good label, but he was hurt most of last year, so.
I do think Lippman could have waited on this trade to begin with, like all the way at the beginning, because I think like once we truly see like CMC, like the things he's going to do to the Jets, and I'm playing him this week, so it sucks. But I mean, the things he's going to do, you would need 7 different parental control codes, and it's going to be a complete smash. And I think on the contrary, David Montgomery's facing the Rams, so I think now, Lippman, I don't hate what you did. I totally see the logic, and I think you made out well at the end of the day. But I do think, had you had waited and just let people see, like, oh my God, there's CMC getting 30 all-purpose touches and 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like he could score 50 points next week. And David Montgomery, I think, is going to get absolute like the Chicago game is going to be a sacrificial lamb of Andy Dalton, so Justin Fields can come out in week 2 and take over. And I think it's going to be brutal. I think you could have potentially gotten it off on a cheaper deal, but at the end of the day, you know, you got good value. I think it's fine, but that's just one thing that stuck out to me.
Current question: do you remember what Kamara did to the Packers last year on 6 carries?
That's also another thing.
39 points, Kern. 39. Kamara's going to absolutely destroy Week 1. Same thing can be said for him, sir.
That's very fair. And because you went back and you got Kamara, it makes sense. It just, yeah. And that's what's awesome about Lippman is he makes moves in front of your face while he's dealing in the back of, you know, his pocket. So, I mean, at the end of the day, he came out, like you said, you got Josh Allen and Kamara for CMC, essentially, which, I mean, that's probably the price tag.
Karen, let me ask you this about a potential bias towards not wanting to trade away CMC. Isn't it true that in one of the group me's, your profile picture is your face photoshopped onto Christian McCaffrey?
Look, I'm the biggest fanboy of CMC. I mean, I'm he's the best fantasy asset in the league. I mean, if you keep him healthy all year, he's just gonna shatter the fantasy point ceiling again. I mean, he's so special. I do think Kamara is also extremely special too, though, and I like him a lot. I just
no Latavius. I mean, they're not going to give Tony Jones that many carries, are they? Kamara's about to get fed this year.
How much did Tony Jones go for? Has he been picked up?
Yeah, he got picked up for $13. Yeah. I put a $5 bid, so did Hunter. Lippy put a $6 bid, and Herman got him with 13.
I think because of the lack of weapons, they're going to use anything they can. I think he showed out in preseason, and I think if anything, he's an elite handcuff now. And not to jack him from Lippman, but I mean, you got to find those handcuffs where you can. And I've always been kind of big on him. I have him in almost every league just to stash, but I mean, I do think Kamara's extremely healthy and fine, and he's going to absolutely smash anyway. So
Kamara's going to get fed.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
so good deals all around. Living at the end of the day comes out fine.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to just belabor the point, but I do apologize for being a hater, Monstar. But man, I feel like you just could have gotten more for Kamara, dude. I really do, and I hate that he's on Lippy's team, and it just pins me up with rage and anger that Lippy got, in my opinion, kind of bailed out with some of these trades like he always fucking does. He had a lack of depth after the draft, and he waves his magic Lippy wand, and it just goes poof. And fuck it. Okay, let's get into matchups. Let's start. Let's see here. League. Okay, perfect. Let's start with our Hunter and Jack matchup. Now,
championship rematch.
Championship rematch. This is the return to football matchup that we're all looking for. Now, Hunter, I'm looking here, and it's got the big Q next to Eckler's name.
Right.
Now, yep. I'm going to scroll down here to your bench on the screen. Let's say Eckler doesn't play. Who are you subbing into this lineup?
So Eckler doesn't play. First move is to bump Carson up to that RB2 spot.
Okay.
First, so I move my flex up to RB2.
Right. So you've got the flex available.
Just give me some more options. I'm thinking I go Hollywood Brown is probably the move, but it's really between. I mean, it's between Hollywood and Marvin Jones. The only reason I'd want Marvin Jones is because he's playing Houston.
And Houston is very bad.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how shitty your bench was, Hunter. Holy shit.
I got the Brown in there.
Now, is there any chance Alex Collins sees the play, Hunter?
No chance.
No chance. Okay. Let me ask this. Do we have... Okay, well, I'm just going to say, we were talking about this before the show. I just do not understand the running back situation that Jack's got going on. It just perplexes me. He is currently flexing Leonard Fournette. And let me just go ahead and ask Lippy to break it down for folks. You were saying before the show that you're gonna call Jack a 7-win team as is. Tell me about those staples of his team that you like so much.
I mean, he has a nice little team there. If he has a good defensive pick each week, and then he just needs Diggs, he has Godwin, and he's able the players to play well. You're asking Mostert or Harris? I mean, I can see it. I can see him winning games. That's not a bad team at the end of the day. Now, is he going to beat Hunter's team? That's a little questionable. I mean, Hunter does have Cook and Eckler and Carson. And that's and with Rodgers, especially in 6-point, that's 100-plus points a week right there. But Eckler's hurt, like always.
If Eckler plays this week, I feel very good about the matchup.
Yeah,
I feel very good about Eckler's healthy.
If Eckler plays, I'd probably pick Hunter. If he doesn't, I'm probably picking Jack. Teemo and Kern, do y'all feel differently, or does that seem right?
I'll let Kevin go first.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I do think that if you're going to the books, you'd see a lot of money on Hunter's side right here. And this would honestly, Hunter, not hating, but this week alone, this would be something where if I was feeling snazzy, I would put this on a parlay or take the other side and take the underdog of Jack in this matchup. Simply because, like Lipton said, he's got such a sturdy foundation.
Kern, I kind of lost you there. Can I get that one more time?
Yes. I'm saying, I think... Where do you lose me?
I lost you when you said that you'd probably take the parlay, and then I kind of lost you after that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'd probably go to the books and I'd probably bet Goon's team to lose to Jack this week, simply because I see a world where the thing with Jack's team is I think he's going to start out hot, because I think you have in San Francisco, you have a really boring quarterback who's going to check down more and play it safe. And you're going to have a veteran running back kind of spearheading the snaps. And Mostert, when he's fresh in the first 3 or 4 games, he's going to light it up. He's going to, I mean, his efficiency is retarded. Like, he's going to fucking light it up. And he's going to absolutely surgically destroy Detroit on Sunday. And it's going to be really painful for Goon to watch, but it's just going to happen this week. And as the season goes on, and same with Damian Harris, I mean, I think Miami's a pretty tough matchup, but I do concede that Ramondre Stevenson and all those flashy upside late picks, you know, he's not going to do a ton in this week. I think it's going to be more Damian Harris, and I think that Hunter unfortunately has to face that. So I think as the season goes on, you know, Trey Sermon and Mostert will cannibalize each other, and Trey Lance will take over and become a more, you know, dual threat quarterback where he's not going to check down as much. He's going to take all the goal line work. It's going to be a terrible running back situation to have at the end of the year. I really don't buy into the whole Trey Sermon's going to be a league winner narrative. I could be wrong. And same with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson's like 6'2" and weighs 240. He's huge. He's going to monopolize the goal line carries. And once he gets that role set, it's going to cap Damian Harris's upside. And it's going to be a real dirty toss-up between him and, you know, Rojo each week. I played that game last year. It really sucks, but they're both going to cannibalize each other and cap the upside. So I think you'll see Jack start hot, and then I think he's going to tail off unless he makes some trades and gets... I think he's going to try to trade Raheem Mostert after week 1, which would be my move as well. But unfortunately, I'll end it with this. I think because of those reasons, I think, you know, Eckler's hurt. Mahomes is playing Cleveland. It's going to be a shootout. I mean, like, I see this being an upset for Goon, and that's not to take away from Goon's team or anything. I would probably take Goon's team over Jack's for the rest of the season, but this week, I don't know, Goon. It's tough.
Also, Goon has Tyrell Williams and Russell Gage in the starting lineup right now.
That's tough.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. And that's honestly...
disgusting.
Yeah, that's probably...
Pittsburgh versus Buffalo.
If I'm a betting man, I just don't... I don't see Williams or Gage really doing anything.
Without Eckler, my team is going to be a little bit, you know, it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
That's a risk when you put all that money on these elite running backs, you know. If they go down, then you're fucked.
And you have the Steelers against Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, I know we love seeing what Sleeper projects us each week. I love it. I love going through and see what I'm going to dominate a person is not showing. I'm actually losing to Golly in projections right now. But I would probably start Marvin Jones this week. It's week 1. They're playing the Houston defense. Like, we've seen the chemistry, you know, each preseason game that Trevor Lawrence has built up with this dude. I don't think it's a bad play week 1, especially when you're trotting out what's his name, Tyrell Williams. Yeah, I think you could do better, Hunter. But other than that, like, I pretty much agree with Curran. I think as long as Mostert's healthy, he's going to do some dirty things on relatively limited carries. Damian Harris, it's hard to gauge just based on we've never seen Mac Jones throw a football in the regular season. We don't know. I mean, we know he checked downs in college. That's how Najee got his start. But, we don't really know what's about to happen with that New England offense. So I could see Damian Harris having a 2-touchdown game, 3 or 4 catches, and 10 carries. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I was a betting man, I'd bet on you, Hunter. But the sneaky upside, probably going to Jack.
Yeah. Hunter, any last comments before I move on for you?
No, I mean, I pretty much agree with most of that.
Yeah.
That all sounds right.
Yeah.
Right in line. How I feel about the Chiefs.
All right. Well, let's go ahead.
You're not really going to start the Steelers against Buffalo, sir.
Yeah, well, starting the Steelers against Buffalo, I think he's going to be one of the top end ones on the season. I'm just really not looking for a roster spot on 2.
Goon, can I give you some sound advice real quick? What I would do if I was you is I would cut Sammy Watkins or Mark Ingram, and I would pick up a better defense. Just play them. I mean, I don't think Sammy Watkins or Mark Ingram will do anything for your team at all. But I think a defense would do better. That's just my advice.
Yeah,
I don't know, Sammy.
Fair point. Sammy Watkins is probably useless.
Sammy Watkins comes out and dominates week 1 every year.
You should start him week 1, absolutely.
I mean, you could do that, I guess. I mean,
especially with some Ravens receivers hurt.
I'm going to fade Watkins week 1, guys. But
don't sleep on Alex Collins. He was really good for a game or 2 in Baltimore. So let's
Irish feet.
let's move on to the Lippy-Neal matchup. Lippy, start us off. Tell us what's going to happen in this game between you and Neal.
It's tough for Neal, honestly, at the end of the day, because what's going to happen is Neal's going to have to face Josh Allen, Kamara, Kupp, DJ Moore, Lamb. Neal just doesn't have the team to face it. I mean, Neal has Mecole in the starting lineup. Does anyone really think Mecole's scoring double digits?
No.
He might catch a pass. I mean, he might have 3 double-digit games all year. I'll never believe in Mecole. Gaskin against New England, 15. I mean, he's going to face a 30-point Kamara, 35-point Josh Allen. It's going to be ugly for Neal week 1, end of the day.
Lippy, let me ask you this, because sometimes there's bugs in the electronic systems, and people, sometimes it's out of our control, especially with the recent storms in the United States. Are you aware that you're starting Ronald Jones?
Ronald Jones is a G League champ. He has the heart of a winner, and he's facing the Cowboys this week, and the Bucs are going to score. And Rojo or Fournette's going to get a touchdown. We'll find out who it is. But I like my chances that Rojo's going to be the goal line carry guy.
Not Leonard Fournette. Well, we'll see, I think that's the only real glaring problem with your team is that RB2 spot. And
just biding time till Javonte gets the carries.
Yeah, which will be soon, I think. Neal, not to sell you short, man, but I'm picking Lippy on this one. Anyone picking Neal?
I'm not picking Neal, but I do think it's going to be a lot closer than Lippy let off. I love our tight end this week. Julio Jones. He's got Julio Jones here as his wide receiver 2. Julio Jones is going to be the wide receiver 1 in Tennessee. It's not A.J. Brown. It's going to be Julio.
Wow. That's bold.
That's a take. I actually kind of like it.
Bold. That's very bold, given that injury history, sir.
Well, I mean, A.J. Brown's dealing with injuries now, too. I was
about to say.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Neal,
one thing I think about
Herbert at Washington.
That's the big thing.
Matchup, and then Dallas at Bucks. I mean, if he needs Bucks pick 6 tomorrow, he needs a great defensive day tomorrow to even have a chance.
Yeah, I think, Washington might be the best defense in the league, not fantasy-wise, but just, front, in the trenches and all around, they're so good. It's going to be the toughest matchup for the Chargers to start, I think. And
10 a.m. game on their internal clocks because it's at
New Orleans is
9 a.m.
New Orleans is notorious in the trenches. I think that the Packers will probably beat us, but I think it will be through other means besides Aaron Jones working us, which he could very well do. But I think it's just not the best matchup. DK. Indy's a pretty tough opponent too. They're underrated, but I think DK will still get his. Waller versus Baltimore, I think it's good game script, but it's still a tough matchup. Josh Jacobs versus Baltimore is dreadful. And, he's got Tampa versus Dallas clutch, but Lippy's got Simpson.
Yeah,
he's got Deebo Samuel. Yeah, he's got Deebo Samuel, which is a really good matchup because Ayuk's kind of banged up. I think he's going to get his. CD Lamb versus Tampa is going to be game script, but I think he's talented enough to overcome. Yeah, I think that Lippin across the board beats him on all matchups, and Ronald Jones is in a very good game script play versus Dallas. So I will definitely go to the books on Lippy for this one.
Yeah.
Not to hate on Neil's team.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I got to shout out the sneaky Browns pickup, the Browns D. That's a sneaky good little roster spot given their next two games after week one. Just want to
always try to have a defense a week or two ahead. At the end of the day, we do like to bash on projections all the time, but all last year you see Jack projected at 130, 129, and he never scored below 115. The projections do. If it's close, sure, but when we got 4 teams over 130 right now.
Sleeper's much better than ESPN, I think, on projections.
Yeah, you're not going to see many teams go way under on their projections.
I agree with that.
Well, I'm real fucked then, but let's go ahead and move on to Dustin and K. Cole.
Oh, God.
This one's projected to be pretty tight if we're talking about projections. I still, and I apologize about this, K. Cole. I'm picking Dustin to win this one, and I don't really think it'll be all that close. I think Dustin's team is being really under-projected. I don't know. I think the tight end of Conklin's going to be interesting for Dustin, but pretty much everything else just looks like a slam dunk, play that.
The Miami projection is extremely weird. I think
it's low, but it's a rookie quarterback.
I know. I think it's a great matchup for Miami. Yeah. I think it's. I think they're a really good defense, but I don't know. It's weird.
I think their defense is.
At New England last year, they only had 2 points.
I'm so torn. Just playing it in New England is always tough for anybody that goes up there. But I see what y'all are saying.
Agree, but
I think that is too low.
The Patriots, for whatever reason, have just been terrible against the Dolphins for the last few years. Not really sure what's going on there. I don't know if they don't like fish or if they don't like. Well, I guess they're mammals, so there's a lot of science going on there. Dolphins are mammals, right? Agreed.
Correct.
Just want to make sure of that. I don't want to spread disinformation on the channel.
Very good AMF.
Man, I like some of K. Cole's matchups too. Is there a better matchup for Adam Thielen than Cincinnati Week 1? Is there a
That's
better?
What I was gonna say is. I think that Dustin probably is the clear favorite, but he's got the very underrated Murray-Hopkins stack against Tennessee. I think they're not really a great defense. It's going to be a high-scoring game.
No,
and then J-Rob versus
terrible defense. Yeah.
They have one of the worst secondaries in the league.
Yeah, that's another thing that I worry about Sleeper. I guess it'll probably change after week 1, but I think they're basing all of these off of last year's. You see that Tennessee is ranked as one of the best defenses It's just weird because it's like if they lose one cornerback, they're just screwed for the year. I mean,
this will be a good test to see how important a tight end is against a really high-powered team. Because like Kittle versus Detroit, like if Kittle scores 25 points and Todd Conklin gets like 4, I mean, I think that covers a lot of ground in you're looking at these other matchups. So I'll take Dustin, but I won't be surprised if the Kittle versus Conklin. I mean, we see it every year where like if you have an elite tight end, it pays off in dividends. So I guess we'll see. But that's the one matchup I'd be looking at.
is it weird that I'm more worried about Miles Sanders against Atlanta than James Robinson against Houston? Like, I fully believe James Robinson will have a better day than Miles Sanders.
James Robinson is going to run all over Houston.
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah,
It's going to be horrible.
That's ridiculous. I'm a Miles Sanders hater, and I don't think he's projected. I think he's projected way too high. But I think Derrick Henry, and of course he's a unique and special back. But I think he averages over like the last 6 games. Derrick Henry is averaging like 214 yards against the Houston Texans defense, which has only gotten worse in the offseason. So if there's a team to run on, it's Houston. If there's a team to pass on, it's Houston too. But we'll see. This could be a good matchup. Good luck to both of you.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on this game. I would fade the box and I would just watch this. I think this is a trap game
from this. If I was a betting man, yeah, I'd stay far away.
All right, but this one's projected to be really tight too, and it's Teemo and Golly. Teemo, we'll let you get started off. When you're looking at Golly's team, is there anything that makes you afraid? What are you going to hang your hat on to secure a victory here?
So you know what I hate playing in fantasy more than anything else? Anybody that has fucking Travis Kelce on the roster. Just because that dude is going to come out and score like 25, 30 points. Like, if anything, that's probably got me most rattled for the week. So I'm kind of torn on Saquon. I think Saquon is like leading people on a little bit with how like not ready he is. I don't expect him to have a full workload, but all this talk about keeping him on account, I think if he's playing well, because he's like, let's face it, he's really all the Giants have. I think if he's playing well, they're just going to ride that to the end of the game.
Yeah.
The news about Curtis Samuel is really kind of terrifying for Mr. F1 up there.
Yeah.
I'm really, really worried he's going to do some dirty things to me today or on Sunday. Honestly, like again, those 2 alone or those 3 alone terrify me. I mean, Tom Brady, Dallas's defense is definitely one of like the bottom 10 in the league. I think he's going to have a field day. So I'm not shaken, but there's a little bit of fear there. I think it will be close. I think it really just all comes down to like how ready Dak is to play football. I think if it comes out and just like that, it takes it up a chance. I'm also really about Gus Edwards with a half PPR league because the dude just even if Lamar did throw checkdowns, he just doesn't catch the ball ever. And then the Bills defense has got me a little worried. I know it's at home. I guess it really just depends on if Roethlisberger's arm is what everybody wants it to be. I think my keys to victory are honestly my receivers. Like if IU comes out, I know that he's been a little banged up, but if he comes out against Detroit, I think it might be a good little matchup. Him and Ridley.
I think Ridley could score 40 fucking points. The Philadelphia defense is so bad. Ridley's going to be awesome for you, man.
Can we just be honest for a second here? Dolly's team is really not good. Guys, I don't know what you were doing in the draft. When we reviewed it, like Teemo Chicago might drop 30 points at real quick. But Barkley, I mean, they're not going to lie about the knee and slowly easing them in and everything. And then those receivers, besides Scary Terry, he's about to have Derwin James and whoever that corner there is in the Charger, like shadowing him. I mean, Golly's not going to do well, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. I think looking at, matchup to matchup, QB to QB, I prefer Teemo's team across the board. Even the Gus Edwards Mixon matchup.
Oh, I
think Gus Edwards has a better week this week than Mixon will. And aside from Kelsey versus Tunyon, I'd rather have Teemo starters.
And Tunyon's not the worst starter I have in the world. He's no Devontae Parker. I mean,
not at all.
I'm definitely
starting him.
I'm looking at regression, obviously, with Tunyon. I mean, that dude put up like crazy, non-repeatable numbers. But I just, let's hope he falls into the end zone, like gets tripped in there once or twice.
He wanted to be really sneaky. Or you can go on.
No, Robbie Anderson revenge game is nice too. I mean, Teemo should win. That defense is the problem, though.
Yeah. I was gonna say Robbie Anderson's nice. If there was a way you could fit Antonio Brown in this matchup and just have that correlation with his Tom Brady points, that'd be nice.
I'm keeping an eye on Godwin. I'm definitely going to throw.
I love Antonio Brown pick. I think he's awesome. I liked what Hunter said last episode about Antonio Brown. I'm big on him too. I've been scooping him everywhere. He honestly slipped my mind in the draft. I didn't have the money to get him, but he'd be someone I would like to sneak in this lineup. But I mean, I wouldn't force it because I do think you have a good starting lineup. But that's just one way to kind of neutralize that. It's always good to have a good pass catcher for the quarterback.
Yeah, for sure.
What you think, A&F? I have heard from you,
dude. I just really like your team as a whole, really. I think you've got a fantastic set of starters, and your depth is good enough to be more than passable. Like I was saying last time, like they've already covered, I love Antonio Brown this year. I love Michael Pittman. I'm a huge Michael Gallup believer. The Tony Pollard pick is so nice. As far as this week is concerned, I mean, I feel like he's got you beat at tight end and defense, and everywhere else you just beat him across the board, and that's how you win a fucking fantasy week. If he beats you at two positions and you just beat the shit out of him everywhere else, you're gonna win. So that's normally a recipe for success, man. And I mean, I don't think Golly's team is as bad as Hunter and Lippy are saying. I think the depth is that bad, but I like Golly's team in terms of kind of a middle of the road team, but kind of like I was saying earlier, if Teemo's team is the litmus test, Golly's team doesn't pass it. And I've got plenty of problems on my own team, Golly, so don't take that the wrong way. There's plenty of teams that are worse off than yours, and we'll talk to Jack next week. Yeah, I mean, team, I think you're in a great spot here.
One last thing on Golly's team. We've been dogging Hunter on how shitty his wide receiver 2 and 3 were in Tyrell and Gage. I would rather have Tyrell and Gage over Devontae Parker and Jamar Chase right now any day of the week. And then you tell me Hunter has better running backs and a flex. Golly's team's pretty ass.
I mean, to me, Fuller's not playing week 1. I don't just hate the Parker pick here. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not going to take on them with Fuller out, but I think we're probably singing a different tune about Jamar Chase halfway through the season. I think once he gets acclimated a bit more, he's going to ball. Yeah. But yeah, for the first few weeks, I just didn't even want to touch that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, there. I think Travis Kelce will single-handedly win himself.
Yeah,
just because his ceiling at the tight end position is so much tiers and light years above anyone else's ceiling. So I mean, if Travis Kelce has a 30-point week, I mean that's just at the tight end slot, it's like, what the fuck are you gonna do? Like, you need your whole team to outproduce and make up for it. So, but I mean, I agree with everything else you are saying.
Well, Kern, let's get into something where we might not agree on, and that's your matchup. You're playing Corman this week, another championship week throwback, one where you did lose pretty badly. Let's look at this great team that you propped up at the beginning of the show, talking about how just big brains you are. Talk us through it, Kern. How are you going to beat Cornman this week, who has been working on his reading skills?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that I have probably the best QB matchup on the slate. I mean, Lamar Jackson versus the Raiders, giddy up Monday night primetime. I mean, you can't ask for much more juice than that. I mean, Tyreek Hill versus Cleveland, you can't ask for much more juice than that. I mean, everything else I think is a solid floor. I think Chenault, I'm pretty high on Chenault this year. That's the reason I got him in all my leagues. I think that him in the flex, he's going to be a very solid dual purpose weapon for Jacksonville with ETN hurt and with a good safety blanket for a T-Law versus Houston. I think that's great. I mean, Denver versus the Giants. I'm here for that. We'll see how Kyle Pitts does against Philly. I don't think it's a great defense. I'm here for the upside of it. I think I'll take Kyle Pitts over Noah Fant, kind of banged up against the Giants. And his quarterback will be throwing wonderful dimes to my wide receiver 3, which is what you love to see as well. And I think the Rams versus Chicago, I do worry that it's going to be game scripted out of oblivion and they're going to win by 1,000,000 points. But maybe Robert Woods catches a few passes and gives me a good floor there. And JT versus Seattle, I'm not scared of Seattle's defense. Even if JT isn't the 99% snap 3-down back, I think he's talented enough and good enough with a healthy Carson Wentz back to do damage. So, on the contrary, I'll be brief on Jonah's side. Russell Wilson versus Indy, I'm scared of that, but at the same time, he's throwing passes to my wide receiver, so I love that. CMC, obviously, that's terrifying, but we'll wait through there. I'm more scared of like, what's the best way to put this? I'm more scared of like lightning striking me 17 times in a row than I am of James Conner any day of the week. Mike Evans versus Dallas. Look, Mike Evans is a dog. He has that ceiling too. He could go off. That would suck. I'm not really scared of Tyler Boyd. I am usually very scared of Keenan Allen, but piggyback up, it's a very tough matchup. Washington's no joke. It's a good spot to be in to play Keenan Allen this week. Not too scared, Noah Fant. LOL, Devin Singletary, and Baltimore's D's going to suck. So I think ultimately, is there a world where Jonah does win? Sure. I think that I'll go to the bank on my team 10 times out of 10 this week, but DeAndre Swift, who knows? It could be bad. I'll be patient with DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, I will say, Jonah, you really kind of let me down. I really wanted to say that Kern had no chance this week and he was fucked and he was gonna start 0-1 but dude, James Conner is the RB2. Come on now.
Well, all right, I've got something to say about James Conner this week.
What, are you gonna draft him for 65 again or something? What's going on here?
This is gonna be James Conner's best week this season.
Because he's healthy.
This is going to be his best week of the season. They're playing Tennessee. You guys have really, really looked over how fucking shitty Tennessee's defense.
I promise I haven't, buddy. But as a Chase Edmonds believer, I'm not thinking that James Conner's getting a lot of carries.
No, I think that they're both. I think they're both going to get plenty of carries. I think they'll split the work. I think McCaffrey's going to put up 35 on the Jets. I think Jonah could pull some magic out of the hat. I think James Conner is going to outscore DeAndre Swift by 10 points.
Ooh.
What?
How much?
10 points. He's given James Conner a 10-point cushion on DeAndre Swift.
I'll put $20 on that right now.
So I'll throw in, Jonah, here's some free advice that you should normally have to pay people for. You should probably start either Rondell Moore or Cortland Sutton over fucking Devin Singletary. That's just free advice you can probably pay people for. But you're my dude, man, so I'll help you out. Hunter, the Tennessee homer, was just talking about how trash Tennessee's defense was, and Rondell Moore's been getting a lot of hype in camp. That's all I'm going to throw. But other than that, I don't see a world, unless CMC just has like a 45-point game and Russell Wilson balls out for 35, that Jonah beats Curran. But who knows, man? Weird shit happens all the time.
Yeah, that's true. Lippy, anything to add to this?
For someone who talked a lot of shit. Oh, yes. For someone who talked a lot of shit about CMC, Jonah gave up practically his whole team for him the other day.
Yeah.
Granted, he took the 2 quarterbacks in the draft, so losing Josh Allen wasn't that big for him. But James Conner at RB2 is disgusting.
that's fucking horrible.
Dude, the thing about James Conner, and I agree with you, is all right. The leading rusher on that team, no hate to Chase Edmonds, it's Kyler Murray, and then the RB2 is Chase Edmonds, and then the RB3 is James Conner.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And I think that unless you think Arizona is going to beat the dog shit out of Tennessee and they run the ball 50 times, I don't think James Conner sees more than 5 touches.
Dog shit out of Tennessee, but each one of those teams will score more than 28 points.
You think it's going to be through James Conner? I think it's going to be through all the pass catchers and Kyler Murray.
I don't think it's all going to be through James Conner, but I do think that he'll get a goal line touchdown. I think that they'll feed him. I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility.
Over Kyler Murray and Chase Edmonds, and you're putting a 10-point cushion on DeAndre Swift?
I think DeAndre Swift is trash this week.
How many points does James Conner score? Does he get 10 points even?
DeAndre Swift.
Do you not realize how down bad the Lions are about to be? And do you realize who they have at wide receiver? They're going to be throwing to Hawkinson and D Swift like the entire week.
Hunter, $20. $20, 10-point cushion.
I'll do $20 straight up. Conner versus Swift.
Okay.
No, you gave him a 10-point cushion, Hunter.
No, I mean that's a bold. That's just a hot take. But if you want to do $20 straight up, Conner versus Swift, I'll take it.
You're gonna back down on your 10-point cushion?
Curran, are you saying your RB2 can't beat James Conner?
I mean, I'll take the straight up bet. I just want to see how much cushion I can get from that bold statement that James Conner is going to decimate Tennessee. I just don't see the logic there at all. Maybe I'm dead wrong. I'll bet $20 on that.
Y'all are doing Swift and Conner straight up, right?
Yes. That's what I'm agreeing to. Yep.
All right, put it on the board.
Put it on the board. $20, Conner versus Swift. We'll get to see it live on the matchup scoreboard. Let's go. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that's really easy money, Curran, because James Conner's fucking terrible. We'll.
His projection is hilarious for being double digits right now.
Yeah, that's. I feel like the week 1 projections are always the funkiest, or at least that's what I'm hoping. Looking at my matchup, because my team's going to score 30 points total. Let's go ahead and jump in.
Can I give one more piece of advice?
Oh, please, feel free.
So, just one last piece of advice, Jonah, if you are listening to this. Why don't you put the starting running back? Put Zach Moss in there, bud. If you are going to put a running back in there, put Zach Moss.
So Zach Moss over Singletary. I kind of bugged out there. We've got some sound quality issues on. I think it's on my end. I tried to do something different with the recording this time. So if you're listening, I totally understand that there are going to be some sound issues. I'm going to iron it out, hopefully for next week. But so when y'all go back, you're like, what the fuck's going on? Just know that it's not y'all's mics fucking up. I tried a new setting, and I don't think it's working very well. But Zach, let's do that real quick because we're gonna have a little bit of extra time. Because Zach Moss and Singletary, if y'all were put in the position to have both, which ones would you start? Teemo, it sounds like you'd pick Zach Moss, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I don't put too much into preseason, but the one preseason game I did watch was Buffalo versus the Bears, and Josh Allen got out there and just annihilated for like 15 straight passes, didn't run the ball once. And then if we are going to put some stock into that running game, kind of like Curran said, where it's Kyler Murray, Edmonds, and then Conner, it's going to be Josh Allen, and then Zach Moss, and then RB3 is Devin Singletary. The dude's had his chance, and they don't seem impressed.
Is anyone taking Singletary here over Zach Moss?
No.
I mean, I saw Singletary getting more pass work, and that'd be the only upside there, because I think Josh Allen's a goal line back. I mean, I always want the person who's catching the passes to, who's going to be running routes. I don't see Zach Moss running routes. I see Zach Moss maybe. I hate them both a lot, but honestly, yeah. I'd probably go Singletary just for the pass catching upside, because I don't think Zach Moss can run routes. I think he's just a bruiser to take off a load from Josh Allen time to time.
That's fair.
Between the 20s. A Zach Moss line could be 15 carries for 70 yards and no touchdowns. And Singletary could be 5 carries for 15 yards, but 3 catches for 30 yards. Which I don't know what map that comes out to, but I'll probably take the pass catcher either way.
Okay.
Well,
Lippy, you got a stake in that?
Both not good.
Yeah, both not good. I'll tell you what.
I'm just going to win all of it.
Yeah, me too. Let's jump into the last matchup, me and Monstar. Probably the single most boring matchup of the week, Monstar. We don't have a very exciting one here. You're projected to beat the bricks out of me. And I've got to be honest, I kind of like my team, honestly. I'm kind of a fan of it, but I guess Sleeper thinks it's fucking trash. I don't know. I like my matchup here. Sleeper doesn't. I know everyone loves their own team, but I'm really not seeing how I'm being hated on this much by these projection numbers and these fancy digits. But what do y'all think about my squad in this matchup versus the team that Teemo's established, or that Monster's established? Excuse me.
I think it's closer.
Oh shit, Hunter! Can I get that one more time? We cut out again, man. I'm really sorry to make you repeat yourself.
I said I think this matchup is a lot closer than the projections let on. I like this first half of what we're looking at for you. I like the McMahon versus Lawrence matchup, even though Lawrence is playing Houston, gonna fuck. But Atlanta very well does the same thing. AJ Brown, he's gonna fucking feast this week, as is Julio. So that could be your big downfall. I think AJ, if you lose this week, it's gonna be because of AJ Brown. I think he could put up a monster week. But aside from that, I think y'all's teams are pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like I said earlier, end of the day, it does feel like the matchup should be closer. 5-point matchup. 2-point matchup, 1-point matchup. Yeah. But usually the projections aren't off by that much on Sleeper. And a 10-point spread in projection usually means that Monster is going to win. So if I had to put money on someone, it's going to be Monster. But I really do like Chubb, and I like CEH. Yeah. I don't like Amari for that matter.
I think kind of the same thing that's going to happen with me and Golly is, to a lesser extent, obviously, with what we're working with here. I think if Mark Andrews falls into the end zone twice, as he is known to do pretty often, and then the Panthers just stifle the Jets with a rookie QB, it might be tough sledding. But like you said, if two positions beat you and then just run them across the board, I think you'll be fine. I think T. Lawrence, Mr. Number One. I think he's, as much as we've been talking about how bad Houston is, I think he struggles. I don't think it's 3 picks and 150 yards or anything like that. I think he'll have a good game, but I think there will be an interception or two there. Because he's seen preseason, but he hasn't seen fucking full speed NFL first team action for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
So I think he'll struggle. Monty's going to get his ass beat by the Rams defense. Odell, like, is he even going to play against Kansas City at the moment? And then Juju. Jesus Christ, Juju.
Yeah,
on the other side of that,
A&F team. I'm going to the bank on you, A&F. I would
I
take the
put money.
spread and I would lick my chops and go to Vegas and say a plus 10-point spread. I would, happily take the spread on your side.
Plus 13. They're giving plus 13.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're giving them like 13.5, basically. I mean, look, like I think Matt Ryan, could outscore T-Law. CH is going to outscore Montgomery by a lot. I think Chubb will we don't know about Najee Harris. The thing with Nick Chubb is, like, I like Nick Chubb a lot, A&F. I think he's probably top three in terms of running talent in the NFL. But, like, if Najee is getting every single touch, it's his ceiling we just don't know yet. He might just get every single touch and catch passes and, like, who fucking knows? Against Buffalo, who knows? So that's kind of a toss-up.
I don't know. I said I only watched one preseason game. I did watch the opening with Dallas and the Steelers, and, like, that's a new offensive line. That's a new running back in a pro system. Like, I just don't. He might make his money, like, just catching a shit, like, just volume, but I just don't see them, unless it's splash plays, getting into the end zone a whole lot. Like, at Buffalo, like, I just don't see it, man.
Yeah, I would take Nick Chubb personally. I think Cooper versus Beckham. I'd take Cooper. I like Claypool as a value more than Juju. I think they're both. I think Deontay's the one I want the most, but I think in terms of ceiling, I think Claypool is going to be the one bang ass catcher you have. He's going to blow up your weeks sometimes and catch 3 touchdowns. I think he's extreme. He's going to catch bombs. It's going to be a shootout with Buffalo. I like that. Cooks is a good floor. Good. Jasecki's nice. I like your team. I don't see what I don't know where the projections are off, but I definitely think it's a lot closer than it is, and I would go to the bank and take this 13+ spread and snack on it.
Yeah, I know you hate to hear it, A&F, but after probably week 2 or 3, Brandon Cooks is going to be playing in a different uniform, so I think that's going to help Brandon Cooks' chances. But I think he's good this week against Jacksonville too. On
the contrary, I think that a trade for Brandon Cooks would be great for him.
Yes,
I think if Brandon Cooks gets traded, that does great things for A&F's team.
Oh, no, I think it does too. I'm just saying A&F is a Houston fan, so seeing Brandon Cooks leave is probably not like his on the top of his wish list. But it is going to help his team.
I want to burn it all down. I'd really prefer it if we started Jack at all of our positions.
They just signed Damian. Yeah, like, y'all just picked up Danny Amendola for, like, no reason. Like, the things y'all are doing in Houston right now are like...
Please, Kern.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense when you think about them trading Brandon Cooks. Yeah. Not saying Amendola is the answer, but it makes sense bringing in a wide receiver when you're going to ship a wide receiver,
Yeah. And hey, I get him against Jacksonville, so we'll see. Yeah, Monstar, I think your team is solid. We'll see what happens, man, and I wish you the best of luck. You're a gentleman in this division, and I hope you fucking lose, but we'll see. We will. We'll see. We've got Dallas and Tampa Bay tomorrow. We're gonna close out. Let me get everyone's projection on who's winning that game. Timo, have you got the Bucks or have you got the Cowboys?
Oof. It's week 1. Is it? I haven't looked. Is it at Dallas?
It is.
No, it's at Tampa Bay.
It's at Tampa Bay. The Super Bowl winner hosts. Yeah.
Yeah, give me Tampa in a close game. I'm gonna say like 38-35.
All right.
It's gonna be high scoring.
Lippy,
it's week 1. It's first game of the season.
Oh, I agree. Lippy, who have you got?
Dallas 34-28.
Okay.
Kern,
who have you got?
I guess I think it's going to be a pretty good defensive show with their God, their whole team's healthy. It's kind of scary. I think it's gonna be like 24, Tampa like 13. I don't think they're gonna do a whole lot in Dallas, but the playmakers will get theirs.
All right, Hunter, who have you got? Buddy?
Wait, hon, who's your super lock?
I got Dallas winning it 27-21.
My bad. I forgot
Wow,
mine.
you're fucking smart.
That's dope.
What you got, A&F?
I'm picking Dallas as well because I think there's going to be a bit of a Super Bowl hangover here. If there's any team to do it, this team like Tampa Bay, they do not have to care until it counts, and I feel like that they're not really going to be busting ass in this game. And I think Dak is really hungry to, reestablish himself as the man. And maybe this is all just narrative driven because it literally is, but I don't know. I like Dallas in this game, but I do think the Bucs will still put up a shit ton of points because the Dallas defense sucks. But I'll give it Dallas. I think it's going to be a shootout and a lot of points scored. I'll give it Dallas 35. And I'll give Tampa Bay 28. So,
Woo! That's spicy. I like it.
yeah.
Hey, who's your super lock?
For the week?
Based on all the matchups this week, like who's like the most like I want to hear everyone's like super lock. Like if you had to bet like $100 right now on a money line victory of any of these matchups, who's your super lock winner?
Of the week? Oh, I'd pick Seattle and Indianapolis.
No. I mean, like our matchups, like our.
Oh, for the fantasy matchups?
Yeah, I have mine.
Let's see here.
Somebody 55 north side.
I mean,
Is someone listening to a CB radio right now? What the fuck was that?
A little strange.
It was a motorcycle going by in Chicago.
Nice.
I will actually lock in. I'll lock in Teemo over Golly. No offense, Golly. I just don't see how your team loses to that. No offense again, Golly. I think there's lots of good pieces to build on for your team, but I think it's going to be tough going at the beginning. Teemo, I'm locking you.
He's still my beating.
Yeah.
Oh god. Thank you.
I think my super lock will be the Hebrew Hammer over Neil. I just don't see how Lippy doesn't get a dub this week. So if I was a betting man, I would put the money on Lippin this week.
Teemo,
assuming I can't put money on
Go ahead.
Assuming I can't put money on myself, because I would absolutely do that. Tough. I'm gonna assume Eckler's healthy. I'm gonna go Hunter over Jack.
Okay.
Love that.
I'm gonna lock in Dustin over Cagle.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be a greater differential than the projected points are showing against Dustin. I think he goes 5 points in the other direction.
Yeah. That was probably my second pick, and I think Cakel's got some great matchups, but I just love Dustin's team. Hunter, who are you locking in?
Alexander, I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I think Teemo's a lock over Golly this week. Sorry, Golly. Golly's got way too much stock put in those Cincinnati Bengals for my taste.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
This warms my heart, man. It makes me want to shed a tear.
Well, thank y'all for being here. Teemo and Hunter, it was a pleasure having y'all back on. And Teemo, for the first time for you, man, this was a lot of fun. I think we're going to start doing a Wednesday nights instead so we can kind of do previews like this. So hope to have y'all both back. For everyone watching.
Yeah, love to be in more, man.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. We'll see y'all soon.